Hey everyone, so today I read Matthew 13 and Luke 8 for my Bible reading, and there's a lot of really good stuff in there. I'd really encourage you to read it, especially Matthew 13, a lot of stuff about the kingdom of heaven, but I really wanted to focus in on verses 26 through 28 or so of Luke in chapter 8. So Jesus is, he's just gone across the lake with his disciples. The Sea of Galilee is what they call it, but it's technically a lake. So they're going over there and they get to the other side, and it says that then, verse 26, then they sailed to the country of the Gerasenes, which is opposite of Galilee. When Jesus had stepped out on land, there met him a man from the city who had demons. For a long time he had worn no clothes, and he had not lived in a house, but among the tombs. So he was in the graveyards, right? And so when he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him and said with a loud voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." And so what's interesting here is that he refers to Jesus as Son of the Most High God. And this phrase comes up several times in the Old Testament, at least 6 times, but I'm going to look at 5 right here. So in Genesis 14, we see Melchizedek, right? And he is this, he's called the king of Salem, and his name, Melchizedek, means king of righteousness, Melech and Tzedekah. And so he is this, most likely an angel, actually. We don't know if he's a man, if he's a theophany of Jesus, or if he's an angel, but the signs point towards angel, or some kind of spiritual being. But then, so he's referred to as a priest of God Most High, right? And so then we get to Numbers 24, and we see Balaam talking about having knowledge of the Most High God. And then in Isaiah 14, God is rebuking the king of Babylon, right? And he's saying that you delighted in yourself, and you desired to make yourself like the Most High God. He wanted a throne for himself. He wanted to be king of the universe, basically, in his own right, and had no authority to do so. And a lot of people see a kind of a silhouette of the Satan in this king of Babylon. So it is directly talking about an actual person in Isaiah 14. As same thing with Ezekiel 28, the king of Tyre has a similar story. And a lot of people see kind of an outline of the Satan, the spiritual being, the serpent, right, from the garden in that. And you can dig into that later. That's not for today. But later on in Daniel, chapter 3, we see that, the later king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, he is calling out to the 3 guys that he sent into the fire, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And he sends them in because they had refused to bow down to him, but he recognizes that they are servants of the Most High God. And then in Psalm 57, verses 1 and 2, we see David in the cave hiding from Saul, and he says, "Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me, for in you my soul takes refuge. In the shadows of your wings I will take refuge till the storms of destruction pass by," which makes me think of the storm that Jesus had just calmed as they were walking, or as they were sailing across to the Gerasenes. But in verse 2 he says, "I cry out to God Most High, to God who fulfills his purpose for me." And so what's amazing is that we see in all these different passages the grandeur and the otherness of God Most High. And so that phrase, it's Elohim Elyon. And so Elohim is simply refers to a spiritual being, right? I can't remember if I've talked about this before, but the disembodied spirit of of Samuel coming out and talking to Saul, and the witch of Endor is identified as an Elohim, as a spiritual being, right? We see angels referred to as Elohim. We see the cherubim, the cherubim as we call them, that were guarding the way back to the Garden of Eden. Those are spiritual beings. The seraphim in Isaiah 6 are spiritual beings that stand around the throne of God, or I guess hover, float, fly. And they are worshiping God Most High, right? And then you see all sorts of spiritual beings throughout the Bible, including demons and angels and just all of these different beings. It's a whole kingdom, an ecosystem of beings that just don't have physical bodies. And so when God refers to himself as Elohim Elyon, he's referring to himself as the highest of the spiritual beings, as the one who created all spiritual beings. He is God of gods. And that is an actual term that is used in the Bible to describe him. Because the word Elohim can be translated as God, little God. Not to say that they're deities, but that they are just spiritual beings. And so that is what God is saying here, that I am the God of all gods, that I am the most powerful being in the universe. And when Jesus says in John 5, I am the Son of God, he's making himself equal with God, because he's saying that everything that God is, I am, because I'm with him, I'm in him. And so that's amazing. And that's a claim that no other person, no other being in the universe can say, right? Because Jesus is of the same nature and essence as God himself. And so this is amazing that we see all this, but it's even more amazing that Jesus, that he is a picture of David, or rather David is a picture of Jesus, right? And so David has the authority simply because he is God's child. He's been adopted into God's family, to call on God Most High and to ask him for help, and to hide himself, to shade himself in the shadow of his wings. And that is something that we have the capacity to do as well, because we are believers of Yeshua, right? We have trusted in Jesus. And Jesus alone for our salvation, making us children of God, not equal with God like Jesus is, but children who have come out of God and have been created by him to manifest his greatness and his goodness into the world around us. And so this is both a reminder of the freedom and the safety that we have in him, but also a reminder of the responsibility of heralding and stewarding that amazing authority and power. I just watched Madam Web yesterday, and just the reminder that with great power comes great responsibility. And so we are called to do that, because we know that in the presence of Jesus, in his presence, is highest glory.